right, folks, good morning. Welcome to our first talk of the day. My name is Bobby Brown. I'll be on the stage throughout the day today talking you through all the various presentations and discussion sessions that we're going to be having. We're going to be talking about plant-based pregnancy and infancy, which is coming up next. That's going to be a moderated talk with three very informed individuals. That's starting at midday today, 12 o'clock. So if you know anybody who's pregnant, who's about to have a baby, who's got an infant, they might want to be part of this conversation. There's a Q&A part of it as well. Let them know to get here before midday today. Then we're going to talk about building muscle on a plant-based diet. A man who's been doing this for many years now. Eats just leaves and plants and is able to build very impressive muscle. Daniel Lawrence is his name. He's going to be addressing this stage at about 1:15 today. McCain Foods, Good Food, is going to be having a discussion around that particular topic. They, after all, have sponsored this particular talk, so they join us at 2:15 for a discussion. Then Vegan 101, if you've been wondering how to get started, where to get started, what to purchase, and how to get involved in the sector. That happens at 3:15 this afternoon. How exactly to follow a vegan diet. A speaker who knows all about that is going to be joining us, and then we end off the day here today with vegan advocacy and volunteering. How to get involved in the South African plant-based and vegan sectors. So that's at 4:15, just to fill you in. If any of these topics interest you at all, make sure to check out the schedule. You'll find them at the entrance to the hall so that you can time them and get people here to come and join those conversations. But let's kick things off right now with the founder of The Natural Way and Marianne's Natural Emporium and the International Academy of Natural Health. This lady's been doing this for many, many years now alongside her husband. They opened their first shop in Craig Hall in Joburg. That was in 1991, Marianne's Whole Foods Emporium. And since then, they've opened an academy for natural health students, a vegan school for children aged between 6 and 16. And they've got their flagship restaurant and bakery right here in Somerset West. She's written 7 different books on this topic, and she's going to take you through a talk. There will be a Q&A session at the end of it, so hold up with any questions you may have. But may I have a warm Saturday morning round of applause, please, for Marianne Shearer. There you go, looking all decent again. There you go.
Decent. Yeah, great. That's better. I'm more comfortable with this anyway. All right. Thank you for coming and being here this morning. I'm always interested when the topic is natural hormonal health that most of the audience are women. I think if we said this is all about sex, gentlemen, we might get some men here. The guys at the back are paying attention too. Sex, and more sex. All right. It's always an absolute privilege for me. There's some seats in the front here, ladies. Anybody want some brochures? They're over there. To speak to people about their health, because I have seen so many people's health change over the years, and it's been an absolute privilege. Seen people recover from things like liver cancer and people not being able to have babies, become pregnant. It's been an amazing journey for us, for Mark and myself. And as I said, always a privilege. When it gets to hormonal health, most people don't realize that their hormonal system is actually known as the endocrine system, and it's a system that controls everything in your body. So it's not just about menstruation, menopause, and having babies. It's about liver function, kidney function, lung function, heart function, skin function, hair, nails, your bowels. If your bowels don't work properly, that's the endocrine system not working properly. Your endocrine system is a series of glands. Your pituitary gland in the brain controls the entire hormonal or endocrine system. Your thyroid gland, a lot of people have thyroid problems these days. If that's not working properly, you don't have any mental clarity. Your bowels don't work properly. Your metabolism could be slow. Your skin could be dry. You're just simply suffering from brain fog most of the time. Not always. And then, of course, you've got your parietal cells in the digestive tract. If the hormonal system's not working properly, you don't digest your food properly. And then you have your adrenal glands. They help to regulate blood sugar together with the pancreas. They also help you manage stress. And then, of course, you get to the ovaries and the testes, and everybody thinks hormones has just to do with the ovaries, and it's a woman's thing. But it's not. It affects everybody. If you've got allergies, your hormonal system's not working properly. If your blood pressure's too high or too low, it's not working properly. So it's not that complicated to get it working properly, but just some people don't want to put in the effort. So they'd rather go and take some kind of medication. And there's not one pill, powder out there that doesn't have side effects. And I think if you are on any medication, read the side effects. I'm not telling you to go off your meds, but there is a natural way to do this. So Mark and I approach to going plant-based was never really about the environment, I'm sad to say. It was always kind of more selfish. We had health problems. I was diagnosed as being bipolar. I had very heavy menstrual periods. Probably today they'd say it was endometriosis, 7 days long, incredible pain. We have online training and sessions and programs that people go onto. And the one girl from Canada, Monique, she's like a member for life. She says that after being on the programs for like 6 weeks, 3 months, she says she started losing weight. She said that was great. She lost 53 pounds. But she says the best thing about it was when she would have her menstrual period, she didn't feel like anybody was killing her anymore. And I know that feeling. It feels like somebody stuck 2 knives in here and is twisting the knife, where you're just in pain and you're lying doubled up. And as I say, that's usually what scares men away from the talks on hormones. But it's not just that. It's just amazing to see how people's lives have changed. So for me, heavy menstrual periods, terrible pain. I used to be pale in the face all the time. Literally feeling like you're having a miscarriage every month. It was terrible. Mark's hormonal system wasn't working properly either. His blood pressure was sky high. At the age of 19, he was diagnosed with blood pressure at 160 over 110. That was when he was going to do his military training, and they said to him, when he had to be insured, the insurance companies in those days could decline you if they didn't like what your statistics said. They said, you're too unhealthy. He was slim and trim, and that he had this unbelievably high blood pressure. And the reason they wouldn't insure him, they said, because both your parents and both sets of grandparents have this blood pressure problem. There's no hope for you. One gunshot up there, you're going to get a fright and drop dead, and we're not insuring you. You're too much of a risk. So we had these hormonal issues. I had so much cellulite on the top of my legs. Mark used to tell me they looked like handles, or I was walking around in jodhpurs all day long. He was never mean to me, but he said to me years later, the handles have gone off your legs. I said, why didn't you tell me it was that bad? He said, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. But those are the kinds of minor things. You know, you're not worrying about your health. With me, as I say, being diagnosed with bipolar, I also had a lot of allergies. The skin used to peel off my hands, so I'd get these little blisters and scratch my hands, and then I'd have this allergic dermatitis on my hands. And I was put onto cortisone creams and cortisone nasal sprays. I forgot about that part, for not only the allergies, but the continual sneezing. I could not stop sneezing. At one point, Mark said to me, I'm going to go and sleep in the other bedroom because you're sneezing all night long. I would sit up sneezing. It was really bad. And of course, I wanted to know why I had these problems, but nobody could tell me. They just kept giving me medication. So we started in a very roundabout way going plant-based in the sense, and I must tell you, I was a huge meat eater. I could eat all the chops at the braai, especially lamb chops, all the fat on it, all the fat on. Bacon was my favorite thing to eat. We used to make giant omelets in an electric frying pan for the two of us. We were newly married. I would whisk the egg whites really stiffly and make it, and it was like a souffle omelet. And in there would be mushrooms and cheese and bully beef, which is something he picked up from the army. He loved bully beef. Everything we could throw in there, and we'd eat it. This guy was involved in opening the first Kentucky Fried Chicken in the country, okay? So, like, we were meat eaters. We went to braais and ate the meat. We did bring salads. I was quite health conscious, and I liked vegetables, and I liked fruit. But it was like, we loved meat. But then we found out that if we could eat meals where we didn't mix proteins and carbohydrates at the same time, and you must listen carefully to this, because this is one of the reasons why when people go on a paleo-type diet or a protein, no-carb diet, they feel better, because they're simply not mixing proteins and starches anymore. They digest at completely different pHs in the stomach, and the food starts to ferment. And when your food ferments, you produce alcohol, acetic acid, ammonia, gets in your bloodstream, can cause a whole host of things, problems, from psoriasis to indigestion, because you get all this fermentation and this gas and this bloating. And so you start eating just protein on its own. with fats and vegetables and no fruit and no carbohydrates, and you feel amazing. You've got more energy. But you would have, because your food's not fermenting in your stomach. It's not because you're on a meat-only diet. It's because you're not mixing proteins and starches. So if you're ever confused by people that go on a meat-only diet or a high-fat, high-protein diet with no carbs, understand it's because there's no fermentation. It's not the meat that's doing it. And we make the mistake. On the other side of it, we get people that become vegan because they're concerned about animals and the environment, and they're living on Oreos and Coca-Cola because they're both vegan, which they are. When I talk vegan, I'm talking a whole food, plant-based diet. Whole, natural, okay? So I was already into the whole natural side of things and trying to find a way to get healthier. And then Mark brought this book home for me to read. He'd heard somebody talking about it on the radio called Food Combining for Health. And we started eating chicken salads and veggies and potato salads and veggies. But when it came to things like bolognese, we'd rather all eat the pasta with the tomato sauce than eat the bolognese with the salad. It was just the bolognese minced on its own. He just never felt like, I mean, carbohydrates are comfort foods, but you want the whole thing. So we started doing that. And so when we had a choice between protein meals or a carbohydrate meal, we would like, let's go for the pasta. Let's go for the potatoes and the veggies. And then occasionally what would happen, we'd go to a braai and eat some meat. And we'd all get sick, sore throats, all of us, swollen glands. I've got 3 daughters, swollen glands, sore throats, snot and trana and everything else. And we'd feel sick. And Mark, who was in the restaurant industry, he was in a chain of restaurants that were their main thing that they sold in those restaurants was steak. And so he started eating more and more plant food and didn't like the way he felt when he ate meat. We wanted to sleep, we wanted to be tired. So the less animal protein I ate, the more these thighs went down, and I don't have handles anymore. You can see I comfortably took my jacket off, and I'm not ashamed of my thighs anymore. But what happened is these heavy menstrual periods got lighter and lighter and lighter, and the pain started to go, and Mark's blood pressure started to come down. And we were like, what's going on here? Today, Mark's blood pressure is 100/70, and he turned 69 on Wednesday, okay? Yep. And everything's working. And ladies, I mean everything works really well, okay? Right. He's pretending to be embarrassed. And with me, I stopped being so moody. I stopped having these incredible mood swings. The heavy periods went, the allergies went, all of this stuff started going. And it was the most amazing thing to see. And as we started taking the dairy out, that was a big thing. The kids' ear infections, tonsillitis, all of these problems our kids had as well, the allergic rhinitis with the runny noses, all of that started. Our immune system started working properly. Our hormonal or endocrine system started working properly, and I began to study it in all earnestness. I'd studied some anatomy, physiology, chemistry, and biology at that point in my life, but I started going into this really seriously. And I found that what animal products contain is something called arachidonic acid. Now, we need arachidonic acid only occasionally, and our body makes it from omega-6, natural fats in avocados, nuts, and seeds. Your body converts the natural omega-6s into arachidonic acid only when you need it. In other words, if your blood pressure is too low and you're getting those natural omega-6s in, your body will make arachidonic acid and bring it up. If you are needing some inflammation in the healing process, your body will convert those natural fats into arachidonic acid to increase the inflammatory response if you've got a wound. You cut your finger open, you need inflammation to take place because that makes more blood come there with more nutrients to fix the problem. So it's a fascinating thing. I began to understand that what was causing most of our problem was this arachidonic acid. When Mark took the animal products out, his blood pressure went down. Arachidonic acid pushes it up. Every day he was eating it. It doesn't do it with everybody. It didn't do it with me. My blood pressure was low, but his genetic makeup is to push it up. So he had high blood pressure. I had inflammation and allergies and all this other stuff and the heavy bleeding. The arachidonic acid, what it causes is inflammation in some women, and they get these heavy periods. It causes pain from the inflammation, and it causes your blood to clot a lot. So you get these clotty, it looks like you're actually having a miscarriage. I'm sorry this is getting messy, but let's be real here, okay? You can talk about sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. I never got to the drug route. I did with medication, but no other recreational drugs. So at the end of the day, what changed for us and what's been amazing is that for the last 30 odd years, we first changed and became more plant-based, started going there in 1986. My youngest daughter was born that year, and that's how I remember. But we were only fully plant-based once she was born, and then occasionally we would eat it when we went out. But as we got older, we found that a little bit of feta cheese in my salad, hot flush. I don't want a hot flush. I want to go through menopause pain-free without any of this. So I decided, for me, gluten and dairy went, which wasn't a lot. Occasionally when I had it, I'd get a hot flush. So those were the easy sort of things, and it was just this gradual thing. It's easy to have full hormonal health, but for the last 30 odd years, we have not had a doctor's bill due to ill health. We're not on any medication. We take no painkillers. We don't take sleeping tablets. I don't need to take hormone replacement therapy to get my libido right. It works really, really well. Ask my husband. Okay, so your hormonal health can be in an absolutely perfect place. There's no need to be adding anything else. On a plant-based diet for us, our entire endocrine hormonal systems work really well. We sleep well at night. If you're not sleeping well at night, that's the hormonal system working properly. If you don't have energy, that's the hormonal system not working properly. Any health system, any health problem, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all has to do with the hormonal system not working properly. We don't have time to go into all of that today. I know that I need to make some time for questions. Is my time basically up? Where's my timekeeper? How many more minutes have I got? 25 minutes. Oh, really? Oh, my word. Okay, well, you've been given extra time. Good. You want me to keep talking? All right. So what I'm going to do is then let's open it up to questions, and when they tell me to stop talking about questions, stop answering, then I'll stop. So I've given you the overall thing. It's, as I say, there's a couple of things that you need to have. I'll just quickly, in your diet to make sure that your hormonal system works well, okay? And that is essential fatty acids is one of them. Very important that you have essential fatty acids. Very important that you exercise daily, outdoors in natural light, because natural, and just walking. We live in the most beautiful place in the world in the Western Cape. You can walk, even in the wind. Man, you get super strong, you can just get down there and walk. Put your hoodie on and walk, okay? Exercise helps to regulate about 16 different hormones in the body. Essential fatty acids, your best source is not from fish oil. Don't let anybody kid you. Fish oil comes out of a fish that's been firstly killed. They fillet the fish, they sell the flesh off, and you take all the leftovers, the insides of the animal, the lungs and the kidneys and the liver and the heart and the eyes and the scales and the bones. They mash all of that. They heat it to high temperature. They use chemical solvents to extract it. They used to throw this away, but now they make a lot of money selling people fish oil. It's actually dangerous because it contains, it's very high in cholesterol because fish makes its own cholesterol. We all make our own cholesterol. All animals, humans and other animals, make their own cholesterol. We make it in our liver, and we need it to make the base. It's a base ingredient of all the hormones in our body. So we need cholesterol. But the essential fatty acids from a plant source help you to transport the cholesterol you make to the ovaries to make your estrogen, to the testes to make testosterone, to the adrenal glands. They also make estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, by the way. But there are dozens of hormones in the body made from cholesterol. We need it, we make it, and the way to make sure that we're not producing too much is to make sure you've got essential fatty acids in your body, like flax oil is a really good one. I use a blend called the Omega, which works really well. And what that does is transport the cholesterol to your cells to help your brain work properly, your central nervous system, your hormonal system, to help you build strong bones. It's a very important ingredient of the hormonal system. But just important, those two things. Make sure you've got exercise outside on a regular daily basis. Start off slowly. If it's 5 minutes and you're walking slowly, and build it up. You wanted to ask a question. Can I give an example? Nice question of actual food. How do I eat in a normal day, okay? The interesting thing is the healthier you eat, the less food you need, because every mouthful is full of nutrition. So you actually end up eating a lot less as you go plant-based. But I'll tell you the normal diet when our kids were little and we were growing up. They would, in the old days, we used to give them jungle oats, for example, with milk and a bit of brown sugar. Thought that was really good. So you replace that with us. We'd replace it with either maple syrup or fructose, not high fructose corn syrup, pure fructose, or raw honey. We don't have an issue using raw honey. I do know some vegans do, and I respect that. But I personally don't have an issue with it. I think there's more damage done to bees eating almonds because of the way they treat the bees that go and pollinate the almonds. Another story altogether. But we actually found that the more raw fruit and vegetables we ate, the better we felt. So we actually replaced our sort of cooked meals, like our porridge in the morning, with fresh fruit and a handful of nuts and seeds. Just a closed handful will give you all the protein you need. Sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and almonds contain as much protein as steak does. 20 to 30% protein, but it's raw, and raw protein is easier for you to use than cooked protein. And it makes sense, because a raw egg white we can mix with water, it's water soluble, but a cooked egg white can't mix with water, it's no longer water soluble. So once protein's cooked, you need to actually eat more protein. That's why meat eaters eat so much protein, because they're not getting raw protein from nuts or seeds, for example. They've got to cook it. And so they're able to get maybe 10 to 30% from that. So eating a high animal protein diet, you need to actually eat a lot more protein than a vegan, by the way. It's an interesting thing. So we have fresh fruit and nuts and seeds, or we'll have a smoothie. And our favorite smoothie he's got for us has got like pineapple and strawberries in it. These days it's so easy. When we started out, you couldn't get frozen fruit anywhere. And I remember when the first time we went to the States, we could just go anywhere and buy frozen fruit because you could just make your smoothie so easily. And because we used to take fresh pineapple. That was our base. Fresh pineapple. We'd put ice in because the ice would make it really creamy. We'd put fresh orange juice or fresh apple juice with that. And we would put a handful of almonds or pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds and blend that on high speed, and it was delicious. Now we put in blueberries and strawberries and dragon fruit because you can just get all this stuff anywhere, okay? So it's easy to get. So a smoothie, and that keeps you going all day with that protein in it. If we got hungry in the middle of the morning, I might eat something like some dried mangoes, I might have an apple. For lunch, we usually, because we're on the run and we're working, I usually like to eat fruit all day long, for me personally. That works very well. My husband would prefer to sit down and eat a salad or have something like avocados. But the kids would come home from school and they would have whole wheat bread with avocado on it, or they'd have a baked potato, or I'd do potato wedges in the oven with a bit of olive oil on it. And we always start our meals with some raw fruit or vegetables. So they would have maybe some carrots or some carrot juice or something like that. And then supper, all the things my husband used to love that I made, like my bolognese sauce, my cottage pie, and even my cheesecake, yes. Because I used to love cooking. Everything I used to make, I just made it exactly the same. I took the meat out and I put lots of finely chopped vegetables in it. So I used the same spices, the same tomato puree, the same things to flavor it. But instead of putting minced beef in it, I would take like eggplant. And eggplant you use when the skin goes dull, because then it's properly ripe. When it's still shiny and firm and got a bit of green, that's when it's bitter. But if the skin starts to wrinkle, then you eat it. Then you cook with it, okay? I would chop it up in chunks, put it in my blender, and I would just blend that. In the early days, I was grating everything finely. So I would grate the carrots finely, and I would grate the mushrooms finely, and I would grate everything finely, and then I would put that. So mushrooms, carrots, baby marrows, eggplant, that forms a nice base of minced beef, kind of. And then you put the same thing. So you're going to put your onions in. I dry stir fry them. I don't cook with oil unless it's some coconut oil. Then I'd put the same spices in. Then I would put the tomato puree in it. And then I'd use a similar mixture of vegetables, but for my cottage pie recipe with a mashed potato. And instead of putting cream or milk into my mashed potato, I just put a dollop of extra virgin olive oil. Tastes way better. Okay, so all the recipes you've got, you just take the meat out and you substitute. Burgers. My husband was a big burger eater, okay, huge. And I know everybody's now coming up with these like fake meats, and I don't eat any of that stuff. I want to eat real food, okay? So that's me personally. So it was pretty easy because you get those huge, big brown mushrooms. And I would just grill that with a little bit of a seasoning salt that I make myself. It's got a hint of paprika and nutmeg and some salt and pepper in it. I just pop it in the oven and grill it. And then I found I could just stick it in a pot on the pan, stick a lid on it, and just let it steam in its own juices. take that out, put it on the bun with the tomato and everything else, and then I found out I could make cashew mayonnaise. So you make mayonnaise exactly like you'd make normal mayonnaise. Instead of an egg, you put in half a cup of or quarter cup of cashew nuts, and you push the blender. You got the olive oil in there and the lemon juice, and you've got a little pinch of mustard, and I'd put some garlic and herb salt. It makes it exactly, it's like looks and tastes like real mayonnaise. So it was an easy thing. I've got a lot of recipe books. If you're looking for them, you can get them online. And if you get onto any one of our programs, we've got a 30-day detox, 100 days to health, 365. We've got Haniki over here. She's one of our game changers. If you want to talk to her, she'll tell you how you can get onto the programs, okay? She'll tell you how she can get on, and she's helped so many people. But the programs are online. You get emailed daily information for a period of time. You get books, you get recipe books, and you get to meet with me weekly on Zoom. She'll tell you all about it, where you can ask questions, listen to everybody else's. And there are people from all over the world. We've got people from China, Russia, Israel, Australia, New Zealand, and of course South Africa, the UK, Holland. I'm trying to think of all the places. Canada, the United States. So there are people from all over the place if you want to get on and get some ideas from that, okay? Anybody, questions? Yes?
I would like to thank you for the talk. And I'm so glad that I'm here today because I've got two teenage daughters who are going through period pains and they skip school when they're parents.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful. But what I would like to ask is, so online you say you've got the courses, and how long, what's the duration?
Okay.
Do you have an age limit?
Okay, so this lady's saying she's very grateful for being here. She's got two daughters, teenage daughters are having bad period pain, and so this is going to help her. And then the courses, what are the length of the courses? There's the 30-day detox, which is 30 days. There's the 100 days to health, which is 100 days. The 30-day detox is radical and extreme, okay? You're just going from this diet and you flip it, and it's the way I eat now, but you doing it overnight. It took me like 7 or 8 years to get there. 100 days to health took me like 5 years to get there. And that's gentle and it's gradual and it's great for families to do. It's not an overnight thing. It takes time for your body to heal. The more radical you are, the quicker it is, but the more difficult it is, okay? The 365 is a program that for 365 days, you're learning about your body. How does my liver work and my lungs? But you're also getting 12 systems, body systems. So you learn about your liver and your lungs and your skin and your immune system, but 12 pillars of health. Those pillars of health are things like diet and exercise, spiritual balance, social balance, mental balance, relational issues, grounding, financial issues, all of that, and how it impacts your health. So that's for life. So once you join that, you can come and go on the Zoom sessions whenever you want to. And then we have a natural health and nutrition course for people who want to study nutrition and health. It's not just nutrition, and help other people anywhere else in the world. And we've got many of those students. I meet with those students as well on a regular basis. And all of you are helped in a WhatsApp group. So a game changer like Haniki will have you in a WhatsApp group, and she'll be helping you with that. So if you've got any questions she doesn't know the answers to, she's in touch with me. All the game changers are in a group with me, so they just help me. Okay. All right.
Being on a plant-based diet, obviously you're worried about pesticides.
Yes.
And have you found anything pesticide related to hormone? How does it affect it? And how do you maybe treat your plant?
Okay, this is an interesting question. Is eating plant-based, am I concerned about pesticides? Yes, and that's why I wash everything very carefully. I grow as much as I can, which is, I've got a reasonably large garden, so I can grow quite a lot there, but I can't grow everything. And I do eat strawberries that are not necessarily organic because I really love them, but now I'm trying to grow my own strawberries. They're a lot of hard work, lots of hard work. If I just look at how hard it is to grow carrots, I would sell them for 100 Rand each if I was selling them. But the thing about in South Africa is when it comes to our fruit, because we export so much, they have to stop putting pesticides on for about 6 weeks before they pick it to get rid of the pesticide residue. New Zealand and Australia have got the lowest levels of pesticides. Okay, I've got 1 minute left. So I wash it carefully. I take a green juice every day, Barley Life it's called, because the chlorophyll helps to neutralize the effects of heavy metals and poisonous substances in the body. So I eat as natural as possible. I eat organic when I can. I will not pay huge amounts for organic project. I grow what I can, and for the rest, I wash my products well with a soap that removes oil-based things, and then I try to buy locally. Whatever I eat what's in season, and I try and buy locally because it's easier for me to know and check up on that. But yes, there are, just in closing, there are hormonal influences like glyphosate, for example, but that's used as a weed killer. There are effects like that, but you can counteract, whether it's a vaccination or a spray, you can counteract it by feeding your immune system to help you deal with that stuff. And I have found that that's been pretty easy to do. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
That is Marianne Shearer, everybody. Well done. You want to give some books away? How do you want to do it? Go for it.
All right. Well, who's got small children that are still in primary school? So this lady put her hand up first. I'm going to give her that. And that lady put it up second. I'm going to give you a copy of Perfect Health the Natural Way. This is our original book being updated. That's just been updated for the third time. And my first one came out when my grandson was born. Then his sister was born 11 years later, and I updated again. And now my great-granddaughter's just been born, and that's been updated. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
How are you even a great-grandmother? Shoo. Well done. Clearly it works. Clearly it works. Another round of applause for Marianne Shearer. Thank you so much. Nice.